And here we are again. It is the monthly dragon. It's a bit late. It's a bit late, but it was also very hot, and there's the World Cup, and I don't know. I'm just trying to find excuses. We're
It's not
late,
that late. We're still in June. Or we're
hot,
still.
but barely,
Oh,
barely.
hold your horses. You keep talking to everyone. I've got to plug my computer in. Oh, I might have to start
That's the reason, guys, why we're late. That's the reason.
again. You can't trust me.
I cannot believe what's happening here.
There we are. I left you. I left you to man the ship for a little bit, and I'm back now. Yes.
What happened? What just happened? Did you have to
When
find the dragon?
I realised I hadn't plugged my laptop in. That was the
Ah,
only thing.
yeah. Now we
Um,
got that. Okay.
Anyway, lovely day. This is going to be a good day. I think now we've got something. Sorry, we're just doing one game of chess today. We're back to the
All right.
basics.
Perfect.
Chilling out in this incredibly hot weather,
Good.
and we're yeah. It's a good game though. It's a good game. It's a Grandmaster game, an all Grandmaster clash, a slow play game from the French league between Romanian GM Gavrilescu and
Hmm.
I understand one of your friends.
Surya Ganguly, yes, which is super cool, super nice chap. I've spent a lot of time with him, and I will see him again at the Beal Chess Festival 2026 very soon. He will
And you
play
forgot to
there.
mention a slightly more experienced Grandmaster as well as your friend, of course.
Definitely. Yeah, well, he was once upon a time 2700, right? All the way back. He was the second of Vishy Anand, and he also likes the dragon that I
Yes,
knew before.
championing our favourite opening today. And yeah, let's crack on.
Let's
So
crack
here we
on.
go. We are here with the Sicilian
I'm very
dragon.
curious how or which variation he
Right.
chose.
Well, this is it. Straight down the main line with white today. We got it. And black is, yeah, let's go
Voila.
for it. Real dragon. No Hungarian dragons, Venezuelan dragons, Dragadorfi stuff. It's the main line. And yes, I'm talking main line. D5 at the
Lovely.
moment. So let's just do we yeah, I mean we know this pretty well. We I've said time and time, I think this is really the key line in the key variation. I have accepted though, absolutely for sure. I am on board with the fact that there are several sideline variations very worth black adopting. I really like that. You've adopted one yourself, of course. You've even invented your own little subtleties around that particular opening
Watch
with
that episode.
success. And I quite like those. But let's get back to the main line and D5. So, what do we normally expect? Listen, we've got one game of chess. I think it's a very good game, and I think this is a very useful game
Okay.
and brings something very new to the table, which I myself am grateful about in this particular line, and others will be too. But let's just
Oh,
do a little refresher. Of course, Black has played d5. I know that pawn's gone from d6 to d5, but he's challenging in the centre of the board here. What are White's options? Well, the main option still sees White taking, and then taking here, taking, and of course, White does have the option. Oh, is that a question you got there?
no, I'm just very glad that we're repeating this every once in a while. We've seen it several times here and then, but often enough I forget those main lines. And I'm
You
very,
know
very
what?
grateful that
I
we're
am
talking
very
about
pleased.
this.
The only thing I would say on Earth, that was great. I just need to remind you sometimes you don't actually have to put your hand up because you're the only one in the class. So, so
I
you
like
can
that.
just say absolutely fine. So you are right. So listen. So this is the old main line. E takes d5, knight takes, and then obviously this knight is on a pretty nifty place at this stage here. So white takes this. They did it this way. So of course black is left with these isolanes, which we've investigated on numerous occasions, but that pawn on c6 is supporting d5. That means, of course, white does have the option to win a pawn here and now. Yep. So he can take it. Now, this is. I'm glad we're talking about this as well because I think this is one particular line where I believe black does get good compensation for the pawn. And it's not so easy for white to have the shelter for these pawns. I'm going to bring this topic up in a little bit further down the line. But this is a good one. And of course, you're all saying, Chris, what sort of a grandmaster are you? You forgot your rooks on pre. But of course, the idea is it is kind of a sacrifice because we are now then threatening checkmate as well as the rook in the corner board. So in actual fact, we could have a situation whereby white gets two rooks and a pawn for a queen. But I think actually this favours black this because these rooks aren't really cutting it as far as defending.
I
Yes.
I think I did it wrong here, so I'm very glad again. Once again, we're showing this. So I didn't tick with the king because I thought like, oh god, it looks so scary.
You mean you had this in a game? Okay, well, the problem
Yeah,
with that, you can talk about scariness, but really you want this bishop along this diagonal.
exactly. It makes so much
Yeah.
more sense, and it's not scary. There's a queen. So
There is the queen. Actually, the queen does pretty much everything.
yeah,
I mean, I remember once I had a game where there's always the danger this, even after a move like bishop d3, for example, there's the change the queen could maybe come to e5, attacking this and this
yeah.
at the same time. So
So
there's loads and loads of
so
threats.
here's
And
my
yeah, what white doesn't get the chance to go rook d8. Yeah, that's obviously quite a key
the
point
only
there.
thing I was scared of was like bishop c4.
Bishop to c4. Ah, righty. So let's just check this out. So, well,
The queen
presumably. So your
cannot
idea,
take.
what you're saying is, I can't take that because of the back rank checkmate, correct? But and then you're hoping just to drop that back there, yeah? Is
But
that
we can
basic?
just but we can just give a check on b2. Is it like that? But is that maybe
Well,
no? That's a good move. That's a good move actually.
what's a good move? Oh,
Taking
checking on
taking
b2
on
and taking on
b2.
c4. That's a very plausible move. That I would imagine. Unless we're not falling for bishop h6
No.
because then we'd have king.
Yeah, I thought about
That
that too. Yeah.
that would be good because basically the queen works well. The more pieces are on the board, there's still a bishop, pair of bishops on the board. There'll be opposite color bishops. That would good. I would, if we're sharp, I would imagine there's other probably good moves as well that we could come up with.
You've
Can
never
we
seen that
do?
before here, right?
What's that?
You've never
Bishop
seen
c4?
bishop
No, it's like
c4?
a complete total
A
novelty.
mystery.
I mean, I would imagine why it's supposed to do things to guard here and here, to kind of blunt those diagonals. But yes, you're quite right. I have not seen bishop to c4, b4. But let's even do it your way. Yeah. So even if we did it this way, and I've got a
Yeah.
feeling there's another move I was going to suggest. But even if we had this,
I think black
yeah,
is
because you
totally
can't
fine.
go here and here in
No.
two goes. You can't then, yeah. So then, I mean, your king's exposed. I would imagine this is going to be fine.
I like that for black a lot, to be
Yeah.
honest.
And I can't help feeling we might have something even better.
Maybe there's something better, but that would already work out well. Okay, but you can check it at home because, of course, as you know, always Chris takes a lot of care with his analysis. So check out the link underneath the video. Always do that and put it into your database, in your dragon base. See what I did there?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's continue. Let's continue.
So that's that. But therefore, what we have is a lot of white players go, yeah, I'm not going to accept that pawn. And there's no point taking on d5 unless they're going to take that pawn because that only irons out the structure. So most people therefore go bishop d4 and say, please, can we please just keep swapping off pieces, but you end up with your isolines on the queen side and I exploit them and win the endgame. So black, in the old days, black said, not on your Nelly. Thanks very much. We're not swapping that off. We're going to go here, attacking this. The bishop then would slink into this square. And now this is a positional sacrifice that we all need to know about. The fact that taking this rook is not going to be a good idea because all of a sudden we're threatening moves over here. And just in general, in these stages here, the bishop pair are wonderful, even though you exchange down and you build up an awful lot of pressure down there on b2, bearing in mind you're going to have rook b8, queen b4, pawn to e4, all sorts of things to pile up the pressure here. So then what happens is white says, well, actually, I don't even think I'm going to be taking that.
May I intervene again?
Yes, go for it.
I'm so sorry, Chris.
Yeah, go for it.
So there's this move. So yeah, from here on. So what would happen? Takes, like bishop takes f8, takes back. What would happen if the knight takes on d5?
Well, I would then do such a thing called recapturing with my pawn.
Okay, fair enough. Good. That's all what I wanted to know because now it is too early, of course, to play h6. Because then we can put the line in
obviously,
between.
I have to do something. Yeah, I have to do something. But see, this is it. There's a lovely pawn structure.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I've got wonderful half-open files.
Yep.
And only someone will say, hang on, I've got amazing 5 points worth of material for your lousy 3 points. That's not the way it cuts it. And you will find that there will be pressure cooker city down there on b2 any second now. Rook b8, e4, you name it. There's going to be problems.
I feel like in pressure cooker cities since a couple of days already. Here it's like 30 48 degrees anyway. But yeah, good,
Yeah.
good.
Well,
Thanks
okay, I won't add
for
any
showing.
more
Yep,
to you.
perfect,
Yeah.
perfect,
So,
perfect.
so that is a well-known theme about not taking that rook. So White usually said, "Well, I'm not going to take it," and then the game carries on. When I used to get this position, I actually used to go rook b8,
Hmm.
but I have now learned, understand why rook e8 is considered to be the main line. Even you can say, "Well, wait, he wasn't even going to take that. Why are you in a hurry to move it?" But the idea is maybe rook b8 is premature in case you wanted to do a rouser with your a pawn, even though you felt like you
Mm.
wanted to do that. But anyway, this was the old style middle game, the main line, a middle game that used to be reached in the dragon and still is. But of course, in more recent times, we've had this slightly simpler system that black can do where we swap off here.
Our dragon bishop, Chris.
I know, but at least they've lost their dark square bishop, and we offered to trade off. And Hikaru likes to play this line,
Yeah.
and he's amongst many others. And actually, I've got to tell you, so far it definitely stands the test of
Hmm. Hmm.
time. And Black is doing absolutely fine. Notice, of course, White can no longer win a pawn because in order to swap that one off, you'll be leaving that guy's on prise over there. Yeah, so then there's a little bit of a game of cat and mouse. The knight comes to a5 and says, "How about you swap off and then you can keep your weak pawns?" And then black says, "No, I don't want to do that." And either goes queen c7 immediately or plays queen over to a5, which invokes the move b3 before dropping this queen back. And then it's all about, oh, is b3 useful for white, or is it a kind of like negative impact on his position?
How do you feel about it?
I feel that's damn it.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to ask me questions like that.
We'll cut this out. We'll cut this out.
Cut it out. I mean, it's the jury is still out. And obviously, I'm the only
Gotcha.
jury in your particular
Yes. Yeah. Well,
question.
just wanted to say, wait a second. What's
Yeah,
going
so
on
that's
here?
it. I think they're both okay,
Yeah.
actually. I was for just dropping the queen straight back, but in more recent times I've realised that both of them are playable.
Hmm.
So that's great. So that's that. So here we are. So that is the main line with e takes d5. But also white can take this knight. This is the move that was played here. And we've seen another line where white just does this immediately so they can crack on with some sort of attack down the h file. Now, they had to have resolved the situation with the knights in the centre in order to facilitate bishop to h6. Otherwise, their knight would have been a bit loose in the middle. So we've also seen this kind of possibility. But in more recent times, there has been another approach. And this, oh yeah, this is what I want to look at today. And that's the move bishop to c4.
Whoa.
Now, when I first saw, I mean, this is quite fashionable. It's still quite a fashionable move, this one here, in actual fact. At first you think, well, that can't really be a good move. Surely black can just go e6, and then the bishop looks like a bit of a lemon on c4. Well, e6 is the main move for black, and we're going to continue with that. But it's worth noting that there was, for example, a game from the recent, well, maybe not that recent anymore, but it was the
From the recent century.
women's candidates,
Oh,
where black played bishop e6 instead.
also funky.
But of course, if you do your maths, you start counting up how many pieces has white got on d5 out on black. I've got a pawn, a bishop, a knight, and a rook and queen. You'll notice that this is actually a pawn available. Boom,
Oh
boom, boom.
no.
Right. So this is a pawn sacrifice. But I had previously annotated this idea on Chess Publishing and decided I don't think black gets quite enough here because this bishop is a bit of a kind of blocker over there, a bit of an inhibitor. I think you get something. But as unfortunately in this game, between what was it? Vaishali and Lagno, of course. I remember
Wow.
watching that game. It seemed to go on for quite a long time. Black was trying to kind of get something out of it, and White was rebuffing at every stage. And eventually, White just ground Black down. Tough news. And I just wanted to say, I told you not to play like that. Why didn't you listen to me?
Yeah.
But maybe they didn't have access. That is why the move e6 is the main move here. So I guarantee you, there is somebody out there right now thinking, wow, I'm glad you're approaching this particular topic. And I'm just hoping that we haven't looked at this before, and you and I can't remember, but we won't have known. We were, I honestly, we've done it so long now. I should really know, but I just can't remember everything
Yeah.
we've done. But
I
I
g-
don't think we've investigated this closely
but
before.
the thing is, and this is the good thing once again, and as I mentioned before, I have the feeling we might have, but it doesn't matter because it's always good to reimburse
Yeah, I mean,
those
I'm pretty sure
ideas,
I've
options.
mentioned this system. I just don't know if we've had a main game with it. And one of
Yeah.
the reasons, possibly why, is actually White's results have been quite reasonable with this. That's
Hmm.
not to say I've been sweeping it under the carpet, but
Yes.
but I've wanted something nice, and this game definitely constitutes as nice. So you're going to be happy.
Interesting. Okay, okay, okay,
So
cool.
what happens is now the bishop drops back to b3. Of course, it would make no sense whatsoever for white to take this. This would just be what's classified as a very nice position for black. It's
Yeah.
better to have center pawns. We've got a5, a4. White's a long way from a king's, successful breakthrough on the king side. So of course, it makes zero sense for white to effectively trade that pawn for that pawn there. So bishop b3, and here's where I saw a new move played. Now, typically, of course, the idea is this d pawn is pinned. It is pinned to the queen. Probably should I've mentioned that a little bit earlier. I probably should have rewound that, but I'm assuming our readers figured out they couldn't take that.
Our readers, as you like to call them, our
Reading the
viewers,
videos as we
they're
go along.
they're very well aware of.
Very well aware that that was a pin. Well, it's still a pin. You can't take the pawn any more than you could have taken the bishop. That's kind of what I'm saying. So, yeah. So here in this position, actually, the main moves in the past have been black playing queen c7 to unpin,
Yep.
or play the move bishop b7. Which I'm not going to lie, I've generally found to be like uninspirational. Bishop b7. You think, really?
Yeah.
Is
It
that a great
doesn't.
diagonal for my bishop?
It
Not
isn't.
really, is
It
it?
isn't. You just want to get out your bishop, but it's like it feels clumsy.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's very like, I mean, I love this structure in the middle for black,
Yeah.
and I might like to maneuver the knight around at some stage, like c5, and particularly get an a5. But of course, if we start maneuvering this knight around here, then we're a little bit more vulnerable to kind of an attack down the h file. Okay, so the timing has to be there, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I've drawn a lot of red arrows on the board, but what I can tell you is I was quite pleased then to see a5 immediately head our board with your friend. And you can even chat to him about this. You'll have inside knowledge on this game.
I'm really curious what he will say to this because I have the feeling he planned that.
Good. Well, let's just say, well, it was a slow play game, and it was it was a French league game, albeit between no one actually French involved. But the fact is that there seems to be method in the madness here. The thing I like, and well, obviously we could say that the idea of going a4 at some stage, not necessarily next go, is obviously a good plan. But also it throws open the chance for this bishop to maybe enter the game somewhere else rather than just parking itself on b7 in order to connect the major pieces on the back rank. So I like this move. And now it's white to play. So, I'm loving the fact that we're just, this is a nice slow game. We're just kind of discussing various ideas. So what is normally the idea behind white's system, whether or not black plays the move a5? Well, the key ideas, one of them is to bring this knight over here and maybe drop it into c5 at some stage. Black has actually put a pawn on that square a5, but white normally does that anyway just to stop the black queen from coming over to a5 maybe. But also white does retain the idea of going h4, h5. One question you could say is, well, what about e5? Isn't that a good idea? I don't really think so, because knight d7, of course, gangs up that on e5. And after f4, I think long term, maybe even instant
Ooh.
there's an idea of c5, c4. I don't. Well, let's just hear. Is there a possibility of
Oh,
a
oh,
sacrifice? Maybe, maybe not. Rook b8. Does he really get enough? You can go. I think this is fine for black. Whether you go c5 now or whether it's there. It's there. It's in your locker. We call it in England. That's a little phrase we use. I think Anyway, that means it's in your arsenal for the future to go
Um,
c5 and
after
c4.
all, you wanted to get your knight in that direction anyway,
Yeah,
so it's a little bit of a
yeah,
helper.
exactly. I can completely concur with your assessment there. So a5 was played, loving this game, and black played knight a4. Right,
Hmm.
fine, okay, seems very reasonable because a, you're blocking that pawn, b, you're eyeing up that square, and c, for what it's worth, you're eyeing up that square. So I think that's perfectly reasonable. If this line takes off, presumably we might see someone go for h4 immediately here, but I can't see too many different options. Knight a4, and black played bishop a6, which is presumably logical. Now, what is the purpose of bishop a6? Well, it's fairly straightforward. I think that bishop allows the pieces to be connected on the back rank, which now means that d takes e4 seriously does come as a possibility, bearing in mind that might just win a pawn.
Hmm.
And also, of course, the bishop could just sit itself on b5 and at any stage in the future go, you know what? I quite fancy taking that knight on a4, possibly bringing a rook to b4 in the future, or a knight to d7 and to b6 or c5 or whatever. So I think I quite like that idea. So I did a bit of speculation, and this is just me. I'm not going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Uh-oh.
I did not bother looking to see if this position had been played before. I thought, as far as I'm aware, there's not going to be many games with it. That's not what I'd studied in the four. And I just thought, let's take a human perspective on this position and think, what sort of candidate moves do we think? Well, I thought I would take a look at what happens. A, if the knight hops into c5, and B, if he occupied the b6 square, because I thought there'll be people at home saying, please tell me what to do if he puts his piece on b6. And of course, the actual move played in the game, for what it's worth, was queen f2, further ganging up on those particular
You
squares. Are you happy
couldn't
with that, or were you
have
expecting a different
imagined
one?
it. Yes, I'm very happy with that. That's
Brilliant.
a good move.
Again, I would argue your move, that not your move, that
My
e4,
move.
the e4 to e5 move would only force our knight to where it wants to go, back to d7, to control some of
Yeah,
those
yeah,
squares.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I did a bit of speculation. Let's talk about knight c5 first. What I thought. I think the idea then we're just happy going knight d7 anyway to challenge that, because white doesn't really go all of his way out there to swap off the knights,
Okay.
because then of course black's still got a4 up his sleeve, in his locker. All those moves I'd like to describe. And of course, if he takes the bishop, still we've got a4 threatened. And if he goes a4, I'm just thinking that this is quite a nice position for black. White's got the two bishops, but that one there looks a bit lousy, quite frankly. And would you be in agreement with me here?
Yeah, but I would need to find a plan on how to move forward here.
Are you
I
not
wouldn't.
happy that you could utilize maybe the B file to swing your other rook over there somehow and get some stuff going?
Okay, yes, yes, that
Or even
sounds.
or even a queen e7 and a knight
Queen
c5
e7 is a good idea. It's a good
queen
follow-up.
e7, knight c5, that sort of thing.
So
Don't
here's the
forget.
thing. I was thinking about a different move than a4.
Oh yeah. To be fair, I think I just played a lousy move for white. Yeah.
But it comes to mind quickly. So
What
I
would you
think
like to
I
play
think
instead?
so I thought of bishop a4.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
right. So what if I still did queen e7 with a view of going knight c5?
yeah, that can very well happen. So is then like h4 a follow-up? Is it then time
Well,
to attack
okay.
or?
So you know what? I love this because it's like no one's watching really. It's just you and me just having a little chat here, basically. So let's give it a go. So if you went here, obviously I'm kind of thinking, what if I attack that pawn somehow? Or even a queen b8, you're going to have to make some sort of concession to protect it. But let's say I went here and you wanted to go h4 card. You can see this is right. So let's say I played. Am I going to go rook b8 here? I'm going for it. Yep, I'm going for it. So you're gonna
Yeah,
you,
yeah, that's
you
not a good option,
you
b3.
can't really. I just think it's not really. I think yeah,
Oh
and of
my
course
God, we're in danger town already here.
let's not go b3,
No,
queen a3
it's not
check,
a good idea.
which I could do mate or take that bishop just to rub things in a little bit. But so yeah, so let's just say not so good on that occasion. But I do agree, a4 wasn't necessarily very appetizing anyway. So in any instance, that doesn't make much sense, right?
Yeah, good.
The
Fair
other
enough.
move I thought, what about parking a bishop on b6? Is that
Yeah,
just winning the pawn on a5? Well, I think probably here you can't really take it with the queen. I mean, we have to do
because of
tactics
bishop
because bishop
e2.
b5 probably is going to win a
e5.
piece, isn't it? Or two bishop, two minor pieces for a
Yeah.
rook at least. Yeah. So that can't be happening. And if you take it with a bishop, well, for starters, I could win this pawn back in the middle, but also you seem to be lining your minor pieces up along that a file. That doesn't seem to be too appetizing, I don't think. So I think this also would be absolutely fine for black. Yeah, whichever one really. And that just leaves us knight b6. Now, knight b6, of course, I came up with a sneaky idea. I think of this. So rook b8 attacking the knight, and queen takes a5. I'm not saying this is false, but there's quite a cute little way that black can deal with this. Don't forget his bishop is currently under attack. But he can go bishop e2, forking the rook on d1 and the pawn on f3. And you're saying, what do you mean forking the pawn on f3? That's already protected. That's not much of a fork. But is it? I'm taking it anyway. Because after this, you're now pinned that way. So I'm going to get that back anyhow. God, life is so... And you can't even be doing any funny business with knight c4 because that's going to leave b2 hanging at the end of it all. So takes.
Oh, I just thought about knight c4, and now you're taking away all the fun for me here.
I'm sorry. I'm normally here to provide the fun, not like remove the fun. But well, there we go. So that's that's life. Really.
There's always the first time for everything.
Exactement. So Queen f2 was played, right, in this particular game. So black just carried on with their main plan. Bishop to b5. Why not? Here we go. And white here, well, white felt the need, really, to do something here, blocking on the... I'm not sure whether this was... Well, they played the move pawn to c3. I was a bit wary about making concessions like that, but I can see why white did it to kind of like put dampeners on pawn to d4 in the future, kind of blunt that diagonal towards b2. But maybe we could criticize that move.
Looks dangerous, and white just tries to defend, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, let's suppose they played like h4 or something. That's
Yeah.
probably what the audience would have wanted. So, but of course, then we play a move like this. Now we're actually unpinning that the d pawn again, so we're probably threatening. We've got this and this like threatened, and I think the
Nice.
problem is knight c5, of course, can't be played anymore because of a4. And if here, I think we could just we can just take that pawn. That's the problem, I think, and he doesn't want to take on and he can't go knight c3. Yeah, it's just bad news. Can't go knight c3 because of a4. That I can understand now why he played it, but I
need
think
to ask again though,
yeah,
if they take on e4, yeah?
yeah. Well,
After
after queen,
h4 and g4.
yes. You want to go g5 then, don't you? Yeah. Oh
Yes,
no,
I
what do you want?
want to,
But if you
exactly.
go g5 and I block over here, you're never really going to break me down over that side anyway.
Well, that is true. Yes, actually,
Because
where
what you need to
white is in
dislodge
trouble
that
again.
knight is one of these two guys.
Yes.
They seem to
So
be a
true.
fair distance away.
So
Yeah.
true. So true.
I mean, that's fine for black. I mean, white's still in the game, obviously, but I think I like that for black.
So many possibilities. How nice.
Yeah. And we are probably the first people looking at this. And your friend, who, of course, I'm hoping you're going to report some information back.
I'll find it out as quickly as possible.
Yeah, unless he says, "Oh yeah, I accidentally touched that pawn. I didn't."
And
mean
then
to
I had
touch
to move it, and luckily I
Gotta
won.
move it.
I had no
Right.
idea what I would play.
No, so Queen C7, and now White obviously was getting a little bit on the nervy side. He thought, is it okay if we swap off the queens? And I said, well, surely he knows that we don't get early queen swaps on this particular site, so that was never going to happen, quite frankly. And black, I think the queen could have moved elsewhere, but I quite like this move e5. Now, of course, it temporarily blocks this bishop further away from b2, but it brings a bit of potential weight to the move d4. So I quite like that move, actually. Of course, the point being noted that if white was to try and off these pawns here, there's no chance to take this pawn because of the knight is hanging still here on a4. That knight is actually, it looks kind of a little bit silly, actually. Now, however, queen h4 was played instead. Fair enough. Trying to do something with the queen. I don't know, trying to something over there. Who cares? That's just a white move. So I'm more interested in the black side.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry, did I say that? Right, queen h4. So rook fb8. Bring in the cavalry in. Oh, yeah. Look at that B file. You might think you've blunted the diagonal towards B2, but there's still a half open file to be considering. So white said, oh, I don't really like that. I better do a little bit of rook D2 flexibility, lateral defense to B2, potentially doubling up the rooks on the D file. And now, yep, bishop took the knight.
Okay.
And then the move D4.
Oh, that's crushing.
Idea. Because, oh yeah, you're going to see why this is.
The rook will go to b4, right?
You know, you're good at that move, actually. I've noticed that. Yeah, so many times in these sessions, you've thought about that rook come to b4.
So nice.
And you are absolutely 100%
so nice.
Right. So the question is, does the bishop have to move or can he keep it there? Well, I think if he played a move like b3, at the very, very least, something like queen d6, and now we're threatening to take the knight, and there's a check on a3 that will win the bishop. And I just think, no, b3 is not allowed. That would just be ridiculous. Too many holes around the king. So white dropped the bishop back to b1 in this particular position here. And yeah, well, black played rook b8.
Yeah, makes sense.
What? Black played rook b8, which makes sense, and there's a perfectly good move. But you know what? I think there was an even better idea.
No
and I'm not going to show it
way.
To you. I'm only going to show it to you because it's like Tactic City. And remember, we've discussed this so many times. And for those that have followed the old Dragon DVDs, all available from all good chess-based stores, of course, they will know we've run through loads of different tactics available. And this is a pretty similar one, actually. So you could criticize your friend, or you could say to him, had you watched that DVD?
Did you know of this? And he
could say, yeah, let's show it to you. So what he could have done is he could have just simply swapped off here. White would take back, bishop takes, and now look at this for a core tactic. Knight takes e4. Actually, you have to analyze it fairly deeply. So probably his rook ab8 was a safe way to get an advantage. So I am not going to be too critical of that.
I need to think. I want to think for a second for you at home as well.
Thinking
what
is a great
the
idea.
heck is happening? Takes. Okay, I got it. I see it now.
The problem is, you're quite right. If you do the move this with black, you have to consider various white options. Yeah, you have to consider, well, taking the knight with the pawn, taking the knight with the queen, and taking the bishop.
Yeah. Taking the bishop on g7 looks the scariest.
Let's do a quick look. I think with the easiest one to dismiss is f takes e4, bishop takes d4. Yeah. The dark square bishop is just much better than the light square bishop. You're not even a pawn down in that position. That's clearly good. Yep. So bishop takes g7 is the fun. Well, actually, queen takes e4. We can dismiss this as well with a really cool move, bishop h6.
Yeah, and don't do c5 because you think like, ha 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 ha, I pinned the bishop.
Because of the rook on a8. You're amazing. But look at this. This is again a case of pin city because it's not, as you've just alluded to, that pin, but it's also this pin. Wow.
Yeah.
That is harsh.
That is
so brutal. If, for example, he moves his queen away, oh my, actually, it's not easy to escape these pins.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So basically, what we're going to do here is, I'm going to look at bishop. So the other option is bishop takes g7.
Yeah, this is where it gets interesting, I think.
Yeah, this is the more fun one because knight takes d2 takes the rook.
Yeah.
If he just obviously takes this guy here, then we can take that guy and we just exchange. Oh, whoa. Sorry, I lied about that. Well, that would be the actually true, but we could just take the queen and be a queen up instead. Always better. So that's attacking a few things. So can the queen move anywhere to look after the bishop? Well, how about here, for example?
Exactly.
But now look at this. This is fun. Check.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
We go check. It's like a lawnmower crossing the board. Yeah.
I thought
So
it.
check
I thought
king f2.
you made a
So
song
now,
or something.
now we're D. So yeah, this is a song. I mean, it's just snappy. King to g3, and look at this. Rook d5. These major pieces are just absolutely awesome. And the idea is, well. What are the ideas? Well, Rook G5 check is one crushing idea here, but of course we have to look out for checks. And in the event, for example, the White Queen can't move, of course, far because of this little guy here. And if he tries to move anywhere, then this check is just winning it. That would also have been winning.
What about
So
H4?
H4. This is what. Well, I've always also got Rook H5, by the way, which would. Oh no, well no,
Well,
you're not. You
first we
haven't
have
had
to
two
take
moves.
away that
You
move.
haven't
Yeah.
had two moves in a row. Though
Yes.
you tried to do a sneaky thing. So I could always go here, which I would
Yeah,
imagine will
and
bring
then we're
that
just
bishop.
winning a bishop. That is good enough for
Yeah,
me.
I think that's good enough for me too. So yeah, so they're possible, but I can't argue. We're Rook A B8, and certainly if we see the end of the game, there's no way we can argue. So Rook A B8, just continuing to pile the pressure on, and here Rook E1 was played by White, and now it was time finally for the cavalry to come on its way. And look, this is what I love. We've got two rooks attacking down the B file. We've got an awesome potential over here. The queen is lying in wait, and the white knight is about to announce its arrival on the scene. Yeah. So what happened here? Well, let's just check out. Supposing he says, well, I better take that pawn. I don't think so. Look at the options available to that knight. We're literally threatening like rook takes b2 and knight d3 check. In fact, okay, let's just do something fun. Bishop d4, take, queen b6, rook d2 and knight. Of course, I just made these potential lines up because I
That is
thought they might look visual.
sweet.
So knight d3 check, and then that's pretty much doing good stuff on b2 and e1 and all the rest of it. So white said, no, I can't be having that rook there anymore. I'm going a3, but that creates other weaknesses. And we had a check on
Just a check, a simple check.
king b1, and then we took here on d4. So now we're protecting that enough times and attacking the bishop, which felt the need to move to f4, attacking the queen, and the knight came into e5. And now we just have a very, very simple plan of, well, this is kind of annoying here because I could tell you the simple plan, but I don't really want to like ruin the rest of the game, really.
Don't.
So I'm going to say you've got a simple plan and you can cut it and insert it later. So here we go. So the idea is, well, I'm going to give a clue away. We're going to want to move that pawn forward at some
Well, that
stage.
makes a lot of sense, of
So
course.
for reasons which are going to become very, very clear. So white played king a2 here, and queen b7 starts the motor running. Currently, he's protecting this, but this poor rook is having to man the fort at the moment at the back. Okay, so bishop took on e5. Bishop takes on e5, and now white literally all hands to the pump trying to protect b2. Bearing in mind, when we advance to that d pawn, the bishop's going to control it as well. But black naturally said, yeah, do you fancy taking that? Oh. And we all know what would have happened if he had taken it. Oh, yeah. Who can spot the checkmate? Pause, you think? Okay. You're back with us now, everybody. Great. And
We
can see
paused for you in a
we
literal
we
way. If you thought you were pressing the pause button, it was us. We're just
yeah.
that good actors that you
And
thought
we
like
got
the screen is frozen.
There's pure synchronicity as well now.
Absolutely, yes. It
So
was
queen
a
takes b2
masterpiece.
check. Timing's what it's all about in chess. Yeah, rook takes b2, king a1, and look at that. That would be quite
Very
nice.
cute.
Very cute. So basically, what we did. So we're going. So he said, "Well, I can't possibly take that pawn. Then I've got to move my attack rook, and I've got to keep b2 defended. So not much selection available. I'm not going to lie. Rook f2, and now." Yeah, you can pause if you want. Again, I'm not going to do the pausing thing on this particular occasion, but who can see a nice little interference move available here and now? Yep.
Wait, I have to think for this one, though.
Oh, man.
I have to pause.
Fair enough.
Oh, I see it now.
Go
Very
for it.
beautiful. Is it rook c2?
It is rook c2 because if the bishop takes it, obviously it's mate straight away. We're now ganging up on b2. Well, how about we just say with everything except our king? So we've got quite a lot of full power there, and then rook takes c2, d takes c2, rook takes c2, and now bishop takes. We don't bother taking. We're not going to do any snazzy rocker checks or anything like that this time round. No, we're getting straight on with the move. Bishop takes b2, and unfortunately, well, whichever way you look at it, this prompted a resignation because let me give you just a good example here. So we have got a number of
How
threats.
unfortunate.
So the point is, well, whatever he does here, well, we're going to move our bishop simply. Even for
F6
example here, because we've got checkmate down there
has
on
more
b1.
style.
Yeah, there's nothing doing. It's going to be checkmate. And I thought that two things. First and foremost, I found that to be a very nice, entertaining game.
True.
Short-ish and sweet for sure. And also, theoretically, potentially very important with that a5 and bishop a6 plan.
Keep that in mind, everyone. I will try that out in my next Blitz game for sure.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. And we'll see you back soon, won't we?
Yes, sometime in July, hopefully, because we are all very busy once again. Until then.
Bye.